Hi guys, George here, and today what I'd like to bring to you is my top 5 most enjoyable games of 2023. With the year coming to an end, I think a review is in order. And right off the bat, here's number 5, and this is Salcho 79, and I've recently played it not too long ago at the COI level. That's the game right here. And at the, wait a second, let's see. That's the game right there. If you can see my little pointer. Right. Um, yeah. And I've played it using the ASL system. And of course, the ASL rules. And of course, I found it much better using ASL because with there's more clear rules with respect to a lot of different combinations and permutations of events that can happen. I remember at one point or another there was an overrun, and the overrun was not successful. The AT gun took out a German tank, snipers galore, rolling 12s on and boxcars on morale checks, and everything that you can imagine going wrong. And Murphy's Law occurred. And I was playing we were playing it three-way actually. So Mark and Dennis played the Germans while I played the condemned and unlucky Russians. And as you can see, this art was by Roger McGowan, which is classical squad leader art. The adaptation was by Jim Stoller. And I find that all scenarios that were adopted to ASL by Jim Stoller to be incredibly well done. And that's in part because after having been played for such a long time at the classic level, they had a pretty good idea as to how to tweak them for ASL and make them even more enjoyable than they were in the classic game. So kudos and hats off to Jim Stoller. That's number 5. I'm going to do a countdown. Capture of Balta, that's another scenario that I often played more than once in 2023, and much to my amazement, I may have even played it solo for a couple of times or so. Much to my amazement, it never ceases to give me a tremendous amount of enjoyment, suspense, and I even converted this scenario, I believe, to Second Front. Just for the sheer joy of playing it over and over again. So again, scenario adaptation by Jim Stoller. It was the first scenario in Cross of Iron. So Cross of Iron was the gamette for the classic game that is focused on the Eastern Front. I didn't go higher than that because at that point in time, finishing high school and whatnot was a traumatic event in my life. Moving forward, I had a lot of challenges back then, and in terms of employment, not so great. And I had accumulated what I could accumulate in terms of war games, and I didn't start collecting until much later in life. So the capture of Balta. What's to say about that? I'm not going to show you the entire scenario card. I'm just going to talk to you about what I liked about it. Again, it's never the same game twice. When I played it with one of my opponents called Mark. Mark set up the Russians in a way that was never done before, and despite it being a close game, he did win. And it's the one thing that I saw there that was a common event between all the scenarios I played of, or all the times I played the scenario, was the Germans that are coming from the east, either through the swamp or through the wheat field, suffer a tremendous amount of casualties. And of course that's a challenge. And also getting these tanks, these tankettes. Uh, what are they? T-28s. Uh, they're bothersome. They're like the ants coming to your picnic. And this poor Stug, the lonely Stug, doesn't stand a chance against all those 45Ls. Yeah, like ants coming to a picnic. So that was number 4. Number 3, Death at the Cement plant. This is J203. And from what I gather, again, this scenario doesn't play out the same time, the same way twice, and it is very challenging for the Germans to win this one. But what makes it interesting is that the victory, you always come close to victory, but it plays down to the last turn, and with the element of randomness, it can really go topsy-turvy. Now, having mentioned randomness, there might be some controversy as to whether luck plays a role or not, or whether it should or it shouldn't. Let me tell you, my second year of McGill, I had to write a paper on the element of luck in battle, and I chose a battle, that being the invasion of Crete by the Germans, Operation Mercury. And I tried to state the opposite, that there was no luck or an element of luck involved in that, and it was really lopsided. But here you have a very powerful force at the time, paratrooping, paragliding, and doing a seaborne invasion of an island that is pretty much occupied by exhausted Allied troops, and in some cases Greek forces that didn't have any armament whatsoever, because the Greek rifles and the Lee Enfields of the British were two completely incompatible weapons. As a matter of fact, I believe what the Greek side were, I believe, Dutch or Austrian rifles, and none of the ammo was compatible with what the British allies had. So in some cases, what the allies had to go with was nothing more than a bayonet. And the civilian population was more armed in some cases than some of the allied units. Historically, Crete has a tradition of being a very well-armed population, let's put it that way. I don't know if you can compare it to the American South or whatnot, the gun culture in the United States, but it's probably even worse than that. Anywho, there is a good element of luck, and luck can go south for the Germans really quickly, especially if you're going up against an experienced Russian defender. Yeah. So you really have to coordinate your attack in this game. That's why perhaps I played it more than once and enjoyed it throughout 2023. Okay, J207 Unhorsed, which is a relatively new scenario. Came out with, I believe, journal number 13. And I picked this one up because it has a relatively short OB, which is quick to set up even in Vassal or whether you're playing in a board. It's only 6.5 turns. There's no special weapons here. And basically, the victory conditions are exit victory points, right? And it appears well balanced. It appears well balanced, and this is another game that I converted to Second Front just to play it out and see what can occur. And it's interesting to see how different players play this scenario. You have people that are cautious, that engage in firefights. You have some folks that use the Americans in a more stealthy way and try to just overrun the Germans. One thing's for sure is in order to win this scenario as the Americans. You really have to have an element of foolhardiness and go headlong against the German defense and win. Because at the end of the day, the Americans win immediately upon exiting 10 or more exit VP. And prisoners don't count, nor do non-crew MMC. Well, non-crew MMC do count. Crew MMC do not count. Okay, good. And here comes number one. Roll call. RAAPS Orders. So RAAPS Orders is very interesting because you have 3 levels of victory conditions. And it's time driven. The victory conditions are time driven. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so the first victory condition is by turn 3, you occupy a certain number of buildings. You don't do that then by turn 4, by having all the buildings within 4 hexes of a certain hex, plus the control of 1 hex side on the east or west. So if that doesn't happen by turn 4, you're given 6.5 turns to put 1 MMC in a given victory location building that is fortified on the map. So what you do have here is you have 2 players, one playing the allies that's on the attack and another one that's on the defensive, and there's a lot of ground to cover. Now, if the American let's start that over. Both players also have to buy certain points, and they're given a little menu of what they can buy, right? Then comes the 2 opposing sides that have, at one point, the defenders have a lot of ground to cover. On the other hand, the Americans have to be decisive about what will be their victory objective without revealing it to the German player. Then the American has to haul ass to get to where they have to go, and at the same time they have to be conscientious of their losses, because you're not given an inordinate amount, an infinite amount of troops, although it seems to be a lot. 15 MMCs and quite a few good leaders. If you lose a lot of troops in the course of advancing, your choices of what you could actually win and what objectives you can actually achieve greatly diminish. And to make it even more interesting, a portion of the troops must come off from a deep river, or a deep stream rather, a deep stream. So the way the streams work is the moment the unit goes in there and it's a deep stream, the unit becomes CX even if they were already CX. It's exhaustion. And this is purely infantry. So scenario J214, 214 is purely infantry. 207, there are armored fighting vehicles. However, they don't count for victory locations. Scenario 203, death of the cement plant, there's only 1 or 2 armored fighting vehicles. 2 actually. Capture of Balta is both armored fighting vehicles, but one side is severely disadvantaged with respect to armored fighting vehicles. And Saucho 79 has combined arms, except there is no Stukas. So that's basically it. That's the top 5 scenarios that I enjoyed for 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's only 15 minutes long, but I hope you'll watch it. And a shout out to Dennis again. Dennis has gotten into the habit of sending me precision dice, and this year around, he sent me the free French, I believe. So in this particular uh, uh, dice, there is the Croix de Guerre, Honneur et Patrie, and it has a Charles de Gaulle figure on it. Vive le Québec libre, and vive la France libre, vive everybody libre. And yeah, Croix de Guerre, Honneur et Patrie. Very nice, 16 millimeter, ball cornered precision dice, designed in Canada and crafted in the US. I purchased for myself 2 pairs, and they're very nice dice, very feel good in the hand. I've used them at a tournament at least on one occasion. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go out west to Caslo 2024, I suppose. It's a shame, because I always wanted to visit Vancouver and BC. And I'd like to thank Dennis. He's an incredible pal. We play every Friday night. We used to play Thursdays and Fridays, but things happen. Speaking of things happening, last week I really got into a bad accident. Not a car accident. It was a snow and ice accident, unfortunately. Slipped, fell, hit the back of my head, the back of my shoulders. Felt excruciating pain for 2 or 3 days, but I'm slowly recovering. And hopefully everything will mend. I still get a little bit of pain when I'm lying down or at bedtime, I suppose. But I'm sure I'm going to mend well and look forward to a prosperous and healthy 2024. Knock on wood. Hey guys, thanks for sticking by and watching my videos and all your support. I greatly appreciate it. And shout out to all my opponents and all the folks that have newly subscribed and been here since the very beginning. I wish everybody Merry Christmas. I'm not too sure if it's too late for Hanukkah. A Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, take care, and be safe.